Welcome in, everyone. Today is Friday. We're heading towards the weekend. And in less than a week, we have real, live, actual football on our TV, baby. What more can you ask for? This is Britt's Fantasy Blitz. I'm your host, Britt Flinn, and we've got a ton of stuff to talk about today. Training camp has already caused a couple of big name injuries that we'll get into. We're going to talk about AFC West team win totals, and we'll be joined by a very special guest, stepmom Lauren herself, Lauren Carpenter of FTN and SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, for a little Fantasy Friday happy hour. Thanks for joining us. Please ask us all your questions in the chat and we'll get to those. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Fantasy Alarm and Better Sports Network YouTube pages. All right. So now that, I guess we're going to jump right into it. We all collectively gasped yesterday when news broke that Joe Burrow went down and was carted off at practice. People were talking about it so much that the word cramps was trending on Twitter because people were praying that it was only a cramp and not a real injury. Head coach Zach Taylor says that it was just a calf strain, which is probably best case scenario, all things considered, but it could hold him out of practice for a while. Don't forget, a year ago yesterday, Joe Burrow missed training camp due to an emergency appendectomy, and he started off the year a little bit rusty. So we maybe should be concerned for a little slower start to the season if he doesn't come back and practice. Garrett Wilson also left practice yesterday and limped to the locker room after suffering an apparent ankle injury. Head coach Robert Saleh said that it's not serious, but it still takes away valuable time to develop chemistry between him and Aaron Rodgers. T-Man in the chat, Sellers, we see you. Michael Chasco, thank you so much for joining us. Very happy to have you here. And a third big name on the injury report yesterday was cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey went down. It was a knee injury. He was also carted off. The good news is that his ACL appears to be intact. However, he's still going to have to undergo surgery because of a meniscus issue. This can cause a minimum of 6 to 8 weeks for recovery. But his tweet mentioning a quote end of season push doesn't exactly give us confidence that he's going to make a quick recovery. And the addition of Ramsey was a huge part of their secondary, which kind of struggled last season. T-Man, yes, today I heard Jalen Ramsey will be out until December. We still don't know. The timetable on the meniscus is 6 to 8 weeks, but depending what they find when they get in there for the actual surgery will determine a more concrete timetable for him. It doesn't look good for the Dolphins secondary competing in a very, very stacked AFC East division. In other news, running back Dalvin Cook appeared on Good Morning Football today as he is in New York for a visit with the Jets over the weekend. And he said that the odds are, quote, pretty good that he signs with the Jets. On one hand, having that talent in the running back room would be huge for the Jets. It would make them immediate Super Bowl contenders. But on the other hand, does this mean that Breece Hall isn't as ready to go as we've been led to believe? We've seen him out on the field. He's been running. He was running in OTAs, but he has been placed on the PUP list. So depending on how hard they want to push him, Dalvin Cook may actually be the guy in that offense who takes over while Hall continues to get healthy. Yeah, Coop, as a Pats fan, you're scared of the Jets as is. With Dalvin Cook, that would be just insane. The talent would be incredible. And now that you're in the chat, I can mention this because it's actually next on the list. I have to do this for our resident Pats fan, Mr. Andrew Cooper. But Bill Belichick said that Ty Montgomery is day-to-day after suffering an injury in yesterday's practice. Montgomery is only a third-string option in this running back room, but there isn't much depth behind him. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do with Ramondre Stevenson and Pierre Strong back there. I know that it's also early in training camp, but the offense struggled for the San Francisco 49ers overall in camp yesterday. As we know, Brock Purdy is coming off a UCL injury, Trey Lance is coming off a broken ankle, and Sam Darnold is new to the system and still learning. The 49ers are currently the favorites to win the NFC East at negative 160, but if they can't get their offense in order, is there a chance that the Seahawks could make a run for it? They did draft Devin Witherspoon, who actually came to terms and is participating in training camp on his rookie contract today. They signed Draymond Jones and they brought Bobby Wagner back. They also drafted two offensive heavy hitters in Jackson Smith and Jigba and Zach Charbonnet. So I'm of the opinion that if the 49ers can't get things put together in their quarterback room, that the Seahawks could make a really sneaky push to win that NFC East. And Jason, Coop, we can't be scared of the Jets. It's not in our DNA. Y'all have been so spoiled with the Patriots over the past 20 years that it's time for a regime change. And I think that we might be witnessing it in real time, guys. I don't know what to tell you. So while the Colts took Anthony Richardson at fourth overall, it has actually been Gardner Minshew who's been getting the first team reps, with Anthony Richardson getting reps with the second team. We know that he was considered a developmental prospect, but after going QB 10 in early drafts, he's now dropped all the way to QB 16. That's a very steep drop off in just a matter of weeks. There is some real concern that Richardson may not only not start the season, but he could be held out until week 10. This affects everyone, and I mean everyone on this offense from a fantasy standpoint. And if you're one of those early drafters, you're really hoping to see some marked improvements during training camp so that you don't have to stash Richardson on your bench for 10 whole weeks. It was also revealed in more Colts news that owner Jim Irsay said that Jonathan Taylor has not yet been offered a contract extension. He entered the last year of his rookie contract this year, and as a reminder, he was a second-round pick, so he's not eligible for that fifth-year option being picked up. If he hits free agency next year, there are going to be serious questions about his contract, even more so than this year that we've already seen. And we're really going to have to address the fairness about how the league treats its star running back. So that's something to keep in mind, especially as your dynasty teams just kind of unfold. Good morning, Mr. Scampers. Great to have you in the chat. Hello, Albert and T-Man. As long as the Crafts own the team, they will always contend and never settle. I hate to tell you, T-Man, 2 out of the last 3 years, they've been below 500. I think we're seeing a little bit of a change there. But talking about dynasty managers, in a sigh of relief after Tyreek Hill said that this might be his last year and that he might retire, he's kind of walking back those comments about retirement. If you look closer, though, it was kind of a wishy-washy walk back, saying that he doesn't really know, that he wants to coach, that he wants to travel, that blah, 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 blah. I think that it all comes down to how well the Dolphins perform this season. He's already won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs, and if it looks like this is going to be a lesson in futility to get back there, he may retire. It's just something to monitor as the season comes along, and honestly, Tua's health may have a big part to play in this. And Coop, just barely below 500. Come on. Below 500 is below 500, buddy. Not making the playoffs is not making the playoffs. And in this new revamped AFC East, I think y'all got a lot of work to do. But that's our news for the day. There's going to be a lot more coming out throughout the day. If it breaks while we're on the show, I'll make sure to get it to you. But speaking of the breaking news, there are things happening all the time. And that is what is so great about the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Because not only is it only $26.99, but it is updated constantly to give you those updates. I can tell you the off-season injury report, I've been in there every single day. I've been chained to my desk, making sure that you guys get the most accurate and up-to-date information so that when you guys go to draft your fantasy teams, that you're not left out in the cold with outdated information. So you can go to Fantasy Alarm, go to www.fantasyalarm/draft guide to purchase that. Or you can get our All Pro package, which has everything from every sport. It gives you DFS advice, it gives you betting advice, it gives you our lineup generator, it gives you access to our Discord channel. And to make things even better, today is our very last day for 50% off your first 6 months. I'll repeat that again in case you didn't hear it. It is the very last day for 50% off your first 6 monthly payments. So if you sign up today for the All Pro package, use promo code Howard, get the 50% off for the first 6 months, which will take you through the end of football season. And then you can get the benefit of all the extra sports on top of it. So coming up next, we've got Fantasy Friday Happy Hour with Lauren Carpenter, who I'm very excited to talk to. T-Man says, sorry, Howard. Also, just in the season now for the Jets, which is so sad. The Jets are getting no respect. Jason asks, do I like the Pats over or under 7.5? I'm actually going to cover that on Monday, but I really don't see more, honestly, than 6 wins on that schedule. So I think the under, as bad and as counterintuitive as it is to say, because they have been so dominant over the past 20 years, I really don't think there's any way that they hit that over. So if you guys have any questions, again, make sure to drop them in the chat. Mr. Scampers with the popcorn. We actually don't have any popcorn headlines today. With training camp coming out, everything is it's popping off, but in a real way, not just popcorn. So I think we're going to go to break here while we wait on Lauren. But coming up next, we've got Fantasy Friday Happy Hour with stepmom Lauren Carpenter. And I cannot wait to have her on and just have a little hot goss session. So stay tuned after this break, and we'll be right back with Lauren Carpenter.
Breece Hall right now, and I've talked to plenty of high-stakes players, I'm sure you have too, Kev. Had Hall not torn his ACL last year, he might have been the 101 in drafts this year. That's how good he was looking last year, and obviously with the addition of Aaron Rodgers. At the 305, running back 11 behind Derrick Henry and Ramondre Stevenson, right ahead of Jahmyr Gibbs and Najee Harris. Your thoughts on him as a mid-third round pick? How have you been attacking him? Have you been getting him at that spot so far this year?
Yeah, if I start out with 2 wide receivers, Breece Hall is right at the top of the queue coming into the third. If I knew he'd be healthy for week 1, I'm still a little.
Well, he'd be going higher than the mid third.
Right. He may go 101 or well, RB1 at least.
Yeah.
But I don't think we know that even if he's healthy in spring and the summer, I still like if I'm running a team, if I'm the coach, I'm bringing him back slow. Like he's on a pitch count. Like I want him for the end of the season because I got Aaron Rodgers for the playoffs, right? Like even if he's fully healthy, I would work him in slow. But that is actually what you want. Like he's still going to get the high value touches. So yeah, if we know he's healthy, he's a first rounder. So like if he's sitting there in the third, especially when I get 2 wide receivers to start, I'll take Hall all day.
Yeah, it almost makes me think that the uncertainty with Breece Hall has made him unfairly fall too far, right? Like because we're talking about the team here in June. They're still hoping that he's ready for week 1. This is not, oh, we'll see what happens. Oh, we're taking it day by day. Oh, we're liking how he's coming along. No, they still think by week 1. And the fact that we have that timeline, I think, maybe bumps him up, especially as the drafting season gets deeper and deeper here in July and August. Maybe we start seeing him go up the boards as well.
Hey guys, we're back and it's Friday. You know what goes best with Friday? Happy hour. That's right. A couple mocktails, couple little good gossip sessions. And I just so happened to have a very wonderful guest to join me for Friday Fantasy Happy Hour. And that is stepmom Lauren Carpenter. Lauren, what is up?
Girl.
How are you?
Oh, I'm so ready for the hot goss. Let's go. I'm great. How are you, darling?
I'm so good. It's been too long. The last time we talked, I think, was on her story. And then I mean, that's just been months ago. But we have the expo coming up next week. So
We do. And it's going to be epic. I think this is going to be one of the best ever. We have so much goodness going on at the expo, especially for us ladies. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited.
I'm going to try to figure out how to smuggle a lot of Red Bull onto the plane. Because it's going to be a crazy, wild weekend at the expo.
It is. I'm already like planning on when I need to sleep so that I have just enough to be ready to go in the morning. Bang, bang. Let's make it happen.
Yes, I can't wait to draft in the Queen's Classic with you. I know that we subbed in the King's Classic last year.
We did. That was a trip.
It was so fun. And I will never forget you being my biggest cheerleader, doing the auction. I mean, just the best. So now we can't be friends. We're going to have to be adversaries. So
we'll be
I'll
mortal
sit across
enemies
the table
for
and be like
solid 2 hours. Solid 2 hours. There's a lot of people that are going to be watching the King's Classic. You can definitely watch the King's Classic, but if you want to watch a draft that is fun and not nerdy like my fellow men that were the industry leaders who draft in the King's Classic, then you should come watch the ladies draft in the Queen's Classic, because I have a feeling we are going to have a ton of fun. I looked over at Pat Doherty and called him a nerd, and I was like, why is everyone so quiet and serious? This is fantasy football, people. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, I think it was so early in the morning when I was doing the auction, I just was busting up laughing because I was, drafting studs and duds.
Yeah,
and
it was great.
The duds ended up being very dusty players. And I just yelled, well, I guess I better make my team a little bit more dusty. Bah, ha, ha, ha. And everybody around the table just looked at me. So I can promise the Queen's Classic panel is going to be a ton of fun because we will be cutting up. But but we do have a lot of hot goss today to catch up on. And no happy hour can start without a gossip session, right? And there's plenty to go around the league. The Jets, again, are somehow involved in so much of this gossip. Yeah. I don't know if it's from them being on Hard Knocks, from the coaching changes, just the Aaron Rodgers aura that's happening around the Jets. But someone who's been catching strays is the Jets offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett. Sean Payton fired shots at him yesterday, calling it one of the worst coaching jobs in NFL history. Robert Saleh then responded, saying, if you ain't got haters, you ain't poppin', which is just cringe, but that's a whole other.
I'm so glad you said that, because when I read it, I was like, I'm sorry, what did he say? I mean, he is a very robust, buff, good-looking man, but even that one was like, nope, don't ever say that again. Ever.
Yeah. No, I read it first and then I had to listen to it, and listening to it was even more cringe. But anyway, I literally say on my show sheet, anyway, LOL. So the two teams play each other in week 5 in New York. So with all of this smack talking, who do you expect to come out on top?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one in a hair win over for the Jets. I am going to tip the cap to the Jets here. This is the Aaron Rodgers aura that we were talking about. I wore green today. I didn't mean to do that to the formerly Packers green, and now this is a Jets green. I don't know why I chose green today, but I did. I'm going to give a slight edge to the Jets. I think this is going to be a really good game, though. The Broncos are a laughingstock last season. Coming into this season, obviously with Coach Sean Payton at the helm now, there's going to be a lot of new looks that Russell Wilson, I think, is going to be able to excel in this offense, which I'm excited to see for him for real football, but also for fantasy purposes as well. So I'm going to give a slight one to the Jets, although I wouldn't be surprised if this game goes into overtime and then the Broncos somehow steal it out. But it should be a really good game, especially after once the jitters are out of the first few weeks of the season and Aaron Rodgers can get a little bit more settled in the offense with real NFL gameplay. Should be good.
Yeah, looking at the Broncos, and I'm going to talk about this later with AFC win totals, the Broncos are kind of an anomaly to me because, yes, they should be improved, but they have to face everybody in the AFC East. They've got to face everybody in the AFC West, which is pretty tough. And you wonder just how much of an improvement Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi can do in one offseason. So I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to give it to the Jets. They also have a monster defense that is just insane.
And that is what is so exciting, because as much as even if the Broncos slightly improve this year, which they should, I think they're on the trajectory of getting even better come the following season. There's still, like I said, will be improvements this year, no questions asked. But that defense with the Jets, the only thing that they were missing to be Super Bowl contenders was a quarterback, which they have now. So the Jets are going to be one to watch, just like the Broncos are going to be one to watch. So all of this like cattiness back and forth, just like I was circa 2000 in high school again. I know I'm dating myself there, but I was. And I was like, oh my gosh, let's sit back and watch this unfold. You boys need to grow up. But it was kind of awesome watching it happen because it's like,
such
these are grown men acting like children.
It's such a burn book moment, right?
Yeah. Like, okay, you guys go for it. It was a terrible coaching job. Nathaniel, you need to own that and just understand that you literally ran this team into the ground. I mean, I'm sure you didn't do it on purpose. The styles just weren't there. It wasn't the mesh. Like these things happen. It's okay. But then Sean Payton to come out firing, man, like, okay, all right. Shots fired. Duck and cover.
So many. And I've promised everybody that this isn't just a Jet show, but there are so many rumors surfacing with Dalvin Cook being on Good Morning Football and saying that there's a good chance that he's going to be there. And Aaron Rodgers restructuring his contract to free up $35 million. Do you think that it's so insane? He took the Packers for everything that they had. And now with the Jets, he's like, no, it's okay. You can have it. Just bring me in some people. Do you think that Cook is a lock to sign with the Jets over the weekend?
I want to say no, because I really want to see him in a Dolphins jersey. I don't think that's going to happen. I think he is going to sign with the Jets. I am so sorry, Breece Hall truthers, of which I am one. This is going to be a disaster. However, knowing how Dalvin Cook rolls, expect 6-7 weeks out of him, maybe 8 or 9 if you're real lucky, and then Breece Hall's your guy. So I don't really mind drafting Breece Hall. He's going to fall down draft boards pretty late if Dalvin Cook does decide to sign. If he does, this is now even more of a crazy team. And then I know you're going to touch on this. I'll just jump right into it now. But then Davante Adams is all peeved. He's mad, and he wants back with his boo, Aaron Rodgers. And if he's already restructured his contract for $35 million, man, if you see Davante Adams and Dalvin Cook and Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be a runaway. It's going to be nuts. It's also not great news when we heard from Garrett Wilson got hurt in training camp, which is also another like, what? Are they going to be going after Davante Adams now? Oh my God. Could you even imagine? I couldn't imagine.
No. And then I've invested so much into Garrett Wilson because
I know,
like the wide receiver
so
one,
good.
He's got Aaron Rodgers. Like this is just going to be insane. And then we've seen the training camp videos of him one-handed catching everything, even against like Sauce Gardner, who's the premier like corner in the league. Right. And then if you get Davante Adams in that mix, oh my God, it would just be crazy.
And I still think that there's a world where Garrett Wilson will be fantasy relevant, just not where he's going right now in drafts. So this is all speculation. We don't know if this is going to happen. But I have a feeling if it did, that is going to be a 1A, 1B situation with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson if this comes to fruition. But bye-bye, Alan Lazard. Like, you don't even have to worry about that at all. Knock on wood, everyone stays healthy. But yeah, I think that news is more of a blow for Alan Lazard fans than it is. And Randall Cobb fans, because he's there.
He is there. He is there.
Oh, I think he's also hurt too, though.
That's one adjective, I guess, that you can say about him, that he's there.
He exists. Still has beautiful eyes.
Yeah, he really does.
I know.
So T-Man in the chat, why is Cleveland getting no love as contenders? They have personnel to burn the league. Chubb's top 5. I actually have been giving Cleveland a lot of props. I think that they're going to be a lot better than they were last season. The thing about Cleveland is that we haven't seen enough. It's Cleveland, and we haven't seen enough of Deshaun Watson.
There you go. Yeah,
and we don't know. In those 6 games that he played last season, 187 yards averaged per game. Not great. We realize it was winter. You know, we might give him a little bit of a pass on that, but we have to see more. And I think that's when the preseason is going to be a lot more important, and we'll start to get a lot more clarity when preseason rolls around.
I am right there with you. If Deshaun Watson can be the Deshaun Watson of old, then I think that this is going to be a way more explosive topic, but we're not going to know that until after the season already starts, which is, unfortunate, but it's quite great for, Nick Chubb, people who have shares of Nick Chubb or people who are looking for the Nick Chubb. I mean, they didn't replace Kareem Hunt, which is pretty awesome. I mean, there are a few names, hither and to, but this is going to be a weird year for the Browns. So don't forget, he missed almost 2 years of football. So I don't know how much 1 year of just getting pummeled into the ground is really going to be awesome for him. He did have an entire offseason this year, which is a huge help. But he has to make some significant improvements before I really want to put my chips in on the Browns. But I'm keeping my eye on them because they're one of those teams that I think is going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, and their win total is still 9.5 in a pretty stacked AFC North. So
Right.
I don't think that they're being completely counted out. I think that it's just a little bit of an unknown situation. And there news came out today, man, that even Tony Pollard, he kind of flew under the radar about his franchise tag because as soon as he got offered it, he signed it, no drama, whatever. But news came out yesterday that he was actually offered a long-term deal and didn't take it.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think in this running back market that was pretty boneheaded to not take a longer term deal, especially coming off a significant injury. So, what are your thoughts on that situation?
There has got to be something else behind this because it's like, I'm going to give you $30 million. I don't know the exact number. I'm just throwing out an arbitrary few digits there. No, it's okay. I'm going to take 10 million. You keep that. Just in case we need it for something else. Like, are they budgeting? Like, I'm building a house right now. We're budgeting at the moment. I don't think the Cowboys are doing that. Either that, maybe he doesn't want to be there. And so this 1 year deal that he's got on the franchise tag for $10 million, I think, again, don't quote me on those numbers, is just right for him. And then maybe he wants to move on next year. I don't know, but there has to be something behind the scenes that we don't know about because, like, why would you pass up a guaranteed, like, long-term guaranteed deal to take a franchise tag for a lot less money? That's a little weird. There's got to be something else.
It gives me the ick as a Cowboys fan. I'm like, what is going on behind the scenes here? I don't know what's happening. But regardless, I don't like it. Yeah. But you're a Rams fan, am I correct?
I used to be.
You were. Okay.
Yeah, I'm from St. Louis. So the Rams divorced me to go back to their second wife in LA. So now I'm a full-blown Rams hater. In real football. But I love Matthew Stafford because my husband is a Lions fan. So I still have that connection to Stafford as a Lion. And I love Cooper Kupp. So I don't like hate the Rams. I faux hate them because they left me.
Yeah.
And I'm bitter.
That's completely understandable. And it's a perfect tie-in to this next question because it sounds like they said that they have fully committed to Matt Stafford, but only temporarily. Sounds like very much a situationship, the worst relationship ever. So do you think they actually stick with Matt Stafford throughout the season if they're struggling, which it looks like they could with only a 6.5 win total?
Which is low in my opinion, but that's just me. Go continue.
Yeah. Or do you think that maybe they give Stetson Bennett a chance if Stafford's struggling?
I wonder how much of the we fully commit sort of to Matt Stafford is, I think, worry for the injury, the multitude of injuries that poor man has had to sustain when he was in Detroit. So I think that they're giving him the confidence to say, like, hey, we're sticking with you, but if they do start struggling, they will put Bennett in there. I just think that sucks for my love for Cooper Kupp because I need Cooper Kupp to do exceedingly well. I have him ranked super high. I love him. That really does revolve around Matt Stafford. I don't like rookie quarterbacks. When I say that, okay, of course I love them. Congratulations, you made it to the NFL. I'm talking about being consistently relied upon to produce fantasy points, not only for themselves, but for the pieces around them, which is entirely necessary. So I think it's weird. So I want to see what goes on with this. I don't think that they're going to struggle nearly as much as I think Vegas has it. And I think what they're actually thinking themselves, like, doesn't it sound like they kind of don't like themselves, which is karma? I guess you shouldn't have left. Greatest show on turf, babies. Give me Kurt Warner.
It's like that ex that you see and, their car got repoed and they're driving like this old beater and they're like, yeah, I'm having my life's great. And then, they're just chain smoking cigs and and having flat tires, and that's kind of what the Rams feel like right now.
I know.
So
I do feel almost bad for them, only because of Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. It's really the only reason why I do, because I like them a lot. But we'll see about that. Those comments are a little odd. But like when you fully commit but temporarily, that doesn't even make any sense. Like, okay,
they need relationship counseling.
I know they do. I mean, therapy is phenomenal. They should try it.
And maybe they should try it over a Zoom call, which is
hold on, Mr.
something.
Scampers. Cleveland is the first wife. They went from Cleveland to LA to St. Louis to LA. Just so you know.
Yes.
LA is the second wife.
Yes. See, this is why we have Lauren on the show.
I think so anyway. Knowing me, I could be wrong. I don't know. That's how much I despise them. I could totally be wrong. They were in Australia.
I just know that they left me.
I just know that they left. Dang it. I do believe it was Cleveland and then LA, St. Louis, back to LA. I need to verify this now. Mr. Scampers could be right, but also so could I.
Sounds right to me. So
hey, there you go. We'll go with it.
But hi, Wendy. You're one of my favorites as well. Thank
She's
you
so
for
sweet.
joining us. Can't wait to see you in Canton at the Fantasy Football Expo. It's going to be amazing.
Mr.
Cleveland is in a real place.
You stop it over there.
Yeah. I actually wondered if I was in a dream or a nightmare when I was in Cleveland.
I actually did not. I've never been to Cleveland. When we fly there from Florida, we go Charlotte to Akron. So we Akron Canton Airport. So we just skip right over Cleveland.
Yeah, I couldn't get a flight to Akron out of the airport in Northwest Arkansas. So I'm going to have to fly into Cleveland. And I think I'm flying from Cleveland to Charlotte and then back to Northwest Arkansas Airport. So
fun.
Gonna be great. But our last little bit of hot goss. How would you have liked to have been a fly on the wall in the running back Zoom call? They apparently discussed exaggerating injuries as leverage for contract negotiations. What is your current take on the running back market and how that instability affects your fantasy rosters?
Yeah, this is a tough one. For fantasy purposes' sake, especially if you play in standard leagues, there really is no other hot commodity than the running back position. We've seen such an interesting shift in fantasy football, I feel, in the last few years of really people starting to target those alpha wide receivers as opposed to going with the running backs. There's really only like a 7%. I think Jake brought up the numbers on our All In Football show. I can't remember them off the top of my head. The injury situation isn't necessarily any better for wide receivers than it is for running backs. This is for fantasy purposes is what I'm talking about. The exaggerating injuries to have contract leverage is just, come on, guys. We are not thespians. All right. This is not the theater. Just play the game. All right. You get paid plenty of money, get it done. These players are integral, not just to real football, but also for fantasy football. And yes, the men need to get paid. Make this happen. I think aside from the quarterback position, your running back is your next one up there. He's part of the offensive line at times. He helps block. Obviously, that creates the lanes and the opportunity for the wide receivers is obviously going down to a very, layman's terms when we're talking about the importance of running backs. But in this market, it's very weird. Like Jim Irsay, going off about these players, like how dare they want to get paid? I'm like, I would want to get paid. Like that's how we roll in life. He's like, well, not Jonathan Taylor, but everybody else. It's like, oh, come on. This is a weird time of year. Yeah.
The fact that he's saying that it's bad faith, but then he's taking advantage of a loophole in the CBA to not extend their contract. He's taking advantage of a very small rookie contract, running him into the ground and being like, nope, you're gone. So, and I think that you make a good point that a lot of other people don't think about. They are part of the offensive line. It's not just that they're running and everyone's like, well, the NFL is a pass happy league. We don't have to have running backs anymore. But that's not the case. Running backs don't just run. They pass block. They protect your number one asset in your quarterback. And it's kind of insane. We could go on about this for hours.
I know.
It's just not fair.
I know.
And Sellers in the chat, only safe running back as a rookie or second year. I mean, yeah, I think I would have to agree with that.
Sellers.
he's just lurking while he's on his route. It's great. All right. So that I guess we can end the hot goss on there. And now we'll get in. I know. I love the gossip. But now we'll get into just a couple of different actual fantasy takes since we're here. And we'll stick with running backs. So what is your take on the running backs still floating out in free agency? Like Leonard Fournette, Hunt, Zeke. Do you think they're willing to take a chance on in fantasy? Or are they just waiver wire fodder at this point? Like stay away until they get signed?
I think if you are in deeper leagues, you may have to take a chance on these players. But for me personally, I'm not. I don't mind taking a shot on Zeke. I was 99% sure he was going to re-sign with the Cowboys, to be totally honest with you. That has not happened. Also, I think it's come out to that both parties have been like, nah, that's not going to come. That's not going to happen. The situation with them is that they are the go-to for an injury, right? So if an injury to their running back is significant enough that they're going to miss a lot of time, those guys need to be ready to be picked up by NFL teams and then ergo off of the waiver wire. But I'm not touching those guys unless we know more. Obviously, this is not the Dalvin Cook of the world that we're talking about here. I don't have any faith in it. I don't have any faith in it at all. Leonard Fournette working out with the Patriots was interesting. That just stinks for Ramondre Stevenson if anything word had come from that. So I'm going to leave him. I'm not touching him.
Well, in the same day, it was like everybody had their like, oh crap moment. He's going to sign with the Patriots. But on the same day, they worked out Darrell Henderson. So it's like, are they just bringing in random people like just to test out and see? Because if they didn't sign either one of these guys and yet they're still in the market for Dalvin Cook, I mean, it just doesn't really seem that anybody's going to get signed anywhere. And I'm with you on that. I thought that Zeke was going to go back to Dallas.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Pollard's coming off an injury. Malik Davis, people want to talk about how, this one play that he did so well, blah, 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 blah. He averaged like 3.4 yards per carry.
Yay.
His speed is not great. And then Pollard has never had that volume of touches.
That's
that we're
what
now
I'm
expecting to see from him.
Yes, that is what I'm the most concerned about. I love Tony Pollard's opportunity and the volume that he's going to see this year, but is he built for it? Is he built for it? Is he sustainable enough to be able to carry that through? And I'm surprised that has not been addressed yet from the Cowboys and protecting that young man. But then there's the whole situation with the contract and what is going on with this. Like, it's so weird.
I want to be we can go back to hot goss if you want, because there's just so much to talk about. And then Sellers in the chat, Deuce Vaughn's going to be a star. Baby, we loved seeing that little one highlight clip of him yesterday. Nobody was touching him. It was just like somebody's little kid that they were letting to come practice. Babe, It's not going to happen.
Sorry,
I love the story. I love everything about, them drafting him, about his father being on the team. I love how great he was in college, but the kid is 5'5". He's going to be a special teamer. I think he's going to have a definite role there. But as far as actually being in the backfield, I don't think so. And please don't say that word. So training camp is time for overreaction, talking about those clips that he brought up, especially when they're in slow motion and professionally edited. Which makes
I would look good
so
on
good.
The field with all of this. Like, I would look like a professional football player.
Yes. But it gets out of control. So how much weight do you give those clips when deciding to move people up and down your ranks? And what has been your favorite overhyped clip of training camp so far?
So fun. Oh, I love this question. So I don't really pay a lot of attention to it. The biggest news that I take out of training camp is injuries. Whether or not that's a re-aggravation of a previous one, it is sustaining a new one, like this thing with Joe Burrow, super sucks. Garrett Wilson with his ankle. And I think it's his ankle. That is really what I take out the most from training camps. I don't follow any of the hype trains, like choo yourself out of my, notifications, please. You're wasting my time. But my favorite one that I saw was Patrick Mahomes' little trick shot where he hit the crossbar. That was amazing. There's nothing that man can't do. He's a machine. He's a cyborg.
He really
He's not real.
is.
He's AI. I think he's AI.
Is that why his voice is so bad?
I think so. I honestly think that man is not human. But yeah, he just kind of like catches the pass, does his little turn route, then boink right off and I think it broke the football. Did it?
Are
pop
you serious?
I think it looked like it in the video, and I'm like, Did that just bust into 2? What is happening right now?
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's amazing.
I agree. He's even, and I will fully admit this, I was concerned about his lack of wide receivers last year, but it didn't even matter. His
No, he didn't
ADOT,
care.
no, his ADOT was way lower than it has been. Didn't matter. Still got everything done. Still went out, won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
This guy can adapt and adjust to anything thrown his way. I think I'm with you. I give the clips a smidge of weight, but
They're fun to
nothing
watch,
is.
though.
They're
Like,
super fun to watch.
they're fun to watch, and it's like, especially when it's kind of like, oh, I wonder what this clip, and they slow it all down, and then you can like hear dun 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 dun, like in your mind as you're watching these plays. It gives us that little appetizer of football is almost here. Like that's what I get excited about when I see those. But I don't, whatever. No, like who was the
Yes.
first to touch the ball in training camp? Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, everybody draft him, please. Do yourself a favor. Ugh.
Please don't get back on that train. And then like Rashad Penny taking the first snap of Eagles training camp at running back. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, this is going to be a long couple weeks
Off-season.
if we're going to keep doing this.
Yep. Yep.
I think my favorite overhyped clip has been the Jahmyr Gibbs outrunning the 50-year-old coach doing the route
Dan
and
Campbell?
then catching.
Yes.
Yeah, like, dude, he's in shorts. This guy's like 50. He's just out there like as a body being like, hey, try to move around me. And everyone is like, yeah, he's too low in your ranks. He's going to be an RB1. Like he's going to be a pass catcher receiver. Da, 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 da. Guys, it's one clip against a coach in shorts. Let's just tone it down.
Tone it
Let's
down.
tone it
Pump the
down.
brakes, folks. Calm it down. Fun to watch, but do not change all of your ranks because of a few clips that you see with
Yes.
professionally edited.
And so related to this, T-Man asked in the chat, what are your thoughts on Rashee Rice with Kadarius Toney getting injured? Is he the third wide receiver or the X receiver? Because he's been another one. We've seen some pretty exciting training camp clips from him. So what are your thoughts?
I am not as pumped about this as I think a lot of people are. I think mostly because meaning the Kansas City Chiefs, have a pretty great system without Tyreek Hill that worked really well. They won the Super Bowl with a set offense from Andy Reid, which is always going to be creative and always going to be fun. The problem is going to be which wide receiver is it going to be which week? And good luck trying to guess which one of those are. And that's what makes it so difficult when you have a very murky wide receiving core, which I think is what we have here with the Kansas City Chiefs. When you are looking for a pass catcher, if you want to stack Mahomes with anybody, it's either going to be Jerick McKinnon or it's going to be obviously Travis Kelce. Other than that, I'm staying away from it. It'll be awesome to see and awesome to watch for real football. I think they can get incredibly creative, as I mentioned, with Andy Reid and the way that he is able to run his offenses. But I will be interested in terms of real football, but I'm not interested for fantasy.
Yeah, I think the only place that I'm interested in fantasy is best ball, in that kind of situation where I don't have to decide who's going to go off this week. I just have them on my rosters, and if they do something, they do something.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I'm not trying to play that game with like, who's Mahomes' favorite this week?
Yeah, right.
It did not work out well last year. The 3 weeks or so that Mecole Hardman scored back-to-back to-back touchdowns just infuriated everybody. And then by the time they got around to putting him in their lineup, he vanished. So
yeah, Mecole who? Yeah, no. It's
Mecole on the Jets now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, the Expo's going to be great. I'm so excited.
It's going to be amazing. So I'll ask you one more question, and then we'll get you out of here because I know you are a super busy lady. With all the injuries already in training camp, it kind of made me think about these old designations, like when we had the probable designation, questionable, doubtful, things like that. But there's been a lot of things that have changed even on our fantasy rosters after COVID. So if there was something that you could change about injury designations for fantasy, what would it be?
I really like the idea of the IR spots. Let's make them a little bit more flexible with who can go into IR spots. It depends on your league, of course. A lot of them are very stringent. You can't put them in IR if they're questionable or probable. You can only do it if they are out, which does really kind of mess up a roster. And it does force you to have to make, decisions that you may not necessarily have needed to make if you didn't have those kinds of restrictions. So I think having more IR spots is always awesome for your squad. I also really want to like make this trading thing. Like you guys can trade in between your squads and it's okay to make both of your teams better. That's kind of the purpose of trading. So yeah, I think opening up IR spots a little bit more flexible with who we can put in there.
I agree. The IR situation and trying to decide between league to league, does he actually have to be on IR? Is he just out? Make it more uniform. I'm with you. But Lauren, I've kept you for too long. I know you're a super, super busy lady. Tell us about your new show, the FTN Fantasy Show on SiriusXM Fantasy. Every time I listen, it sounds like you guys are having a blast. So let everybody know.
Sweet. Thank you for listening. Yes, we have way too much fun. I have no idea how we got a radio show or how anyone takes us seriously. We do have a lot of really good fantasy analysis that we do. Jake Seeley is the host. Myself, Chris Meany, are the co-hosts. It is every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern until 11. You'll hear my dulcet tones. And we have a ton of fun. We laugh. We try to help you prepare for your drafts is the main purpose of these few weeks before the start of the regular season, which is very exciting. And it's so much fun. I'm so glad y'all listen in because it's surreal. It's a trip. Those 2 hours just completely fly by. It's absolutely so much fun. And then Chris Meany, myself, and Jake, we also have our podcast with FTN on their YouTube channel, with the FTN YouTube channel on Mondays, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I am on with Jake Seeley for about 30 minutes right now until we get a little bit closer to the season, and then we'll go for a little bit longer show. But yeah, you can catch me twice a week, FTN Fantasy.
I can't wait to see everything that you have coming up this football season. I cannot wait to see you at the expo.
I know.
Lauren, it's been a pleasure. Guys, follow her on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, at Stepmom Lauren.
Why are they changing things? I'm too old to keep up with these trends, like threads and all this. Like, no, I can't.
It's dumb. It's dumb. Thank you, Lauren. Oh, have a great day. All right, guys, we're going to do one more break sponsored by the FFPC. And then when we come back, we will discuss AFC West team win totals. Thanks for sticking with us.
Kendre Miller fan. He's running back 46 in the Fantasy Pros Championship right now at the end of the 11th round. I want you to talk a little bit about him from both standpoints. Number one, from redraft. He's in the backfield, same backfield as Alvin Kamara, who we talked about in the first hour, and then obviously Jamal Williams. But as far as dynasty goes too, what should you be doing now if you're a dunce like me and missed on Miller? What kind of offers should you be making for Kendre Miller in your dynasty leagues right now?
Well, the problem now is the news worked against you, right? In the sense that you know that there's a suspension looming. We don't know what that suspension is. So do you try to go after him prior to the suspension, or do you wait to see how long it is? Mm-hmm. Right? Because the higher the suspension is, the more expensive Kendre is going to be. It gives him an opportunity. We saw Kamara, you don't have to go farther than New Orleans. We saw Kamara take advantage. I remember they brought in Adrian Peterson. They had, what's his name? Mark Ingram.
Yep.
Right? And then they brought in Kamara, and everyone's like, there's no way Kamara's going to be relevant year one. And he smashed because talent comes through. These teams want to win now. They're going to put the best players out there. Kendre Miller comes off of a 1,400-yard season. Like, one thing for me, bulky in fantasy, is if you showed me you did it, I'm going to believe you. Mm-hmm. This whole upside thing where you've never done it, I'm over all of that. Like, tight end position I talk about often, that's why I don't invest in rookie tight ends. I'll pay the price for a Kelsey. I'll pay for a Kittle when I know they're going to smash for me, right? Running back, you're looking for talent. You're looking for proven. This guy's proved it. And progression. You look at his career in college, he's progressed every year in the receiving game, in the rushing game. There's something about when you watch him play, and sometimes it's not, I don't have a great stat for you or anything, but there's certain guys when I see him play, something kind of, and he's one of the guys when I started watching his tape and just seeing what he can do. I think he can be an all-around workhorse. He had 224 touches in his last season in college. So look, we talk about New Orleans. We don't know what this offense is going to look like. They have a new quarterback. They have everything, a whole new situation there. He could come in with Kamara out and just take over that backfield right away.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're nearing the end of Britt's Fantasy Blitz. Thank you so much for sticking with us. We're going to run through the AFC West win totals really fast and see where we stand on all of them, because it's kind of a stacked conference with a bunch of different variables. So we're going to start with the Denver Broncos. Their win total, the over 8.5, is at plus 106. So not a lot of confidence either way. It's kind of a very unknown situation with this Broncos offense. You've got Sean Payton and Joe Lombardi coming in. Vance Joseph as defensive coordinator still has some question marks. And their secondary is pretty good, but there are question marks along that defensive line with the young talent that they brought in. However, they did bring in Frank Clark from the Kansas City Chiefs, which is going to undoubtedly help, but just how much kind of remains to be seen. On offense, we will have to see if it was indeed Nathaniel Hackett's fault or if Russell Wilson is on the downside of his career. I think they have a good couple of games to start the season with the Raiders and Commanders. So it will at least allow Sean Payton to ease into the new system with some softer teams. But after that, in week 3, they played the Dolphins in Miami. And that is going to be a true test to see if they have turned this ship around. They have to play the entirety of the AFC East throughout the season. And aside from the Patriots, I really don't see them winning against any of these teams. That division's just too solid. Then we get to the AFC West in their own division, and it's tough in and of itself. I don't see them beating the Chiefs. They will probably split with the Chargers. I do think the Raiders could be beatable both times, but that's another team that's really unknown depending on if Devontae Adams gets traded, etc. So although I see an improvement over their 5-win season in 2022, I don't see them getting over 8 wins. So I'm going to take the under here. It's going to take time to develop and rebuild. And Sean Payton, even as great as he is, he can't work miracles overnight. The Chiefs, what's there really to say about the Chiefs? I mean, they're great. Their over-under line is at 11.5 at negative 134. They did lose Eric Bieniemy, so Matt Nagy is now coming in as the offensive coordinator. But we all know that this offense runs through Andy Reid, so I don't expect a lot to change there. There is no more Juju Smith-Schuster or McCole Hardman on this offense or Frank Clark on defense, but they did bring in a lot of young talent. Sky Moore's developing. Rashee Rice is there. Kadarius Toney has another year in the system if he can get on the field, and that is a big if. There are a few games here that could be toss-ups, like the Dolphins, Jets, Bengals, even the Chargers, but 12 wins is the bare minimum that I have them at. I mean, we don't really need to talk anymore about the Chiefs, so they're that good. Take the over on 11.5. Then we get to the Raiders. I'm sorry, Raiders fans. At 6.5, the over is plus 108. They did replace Derek Carr with Jimmy Garoppolo and traded Darren Waller to the New York Giants. Josh Jacobs is a big question mark regarding his holdout, but they did bring in Jacoby Myers. So it'll be interesting to see how that battle plays out in the slot between him and Hunter Renfrow. Their defense, though, is ranked as one of the worst in the league, despite adding Tyree Wilson with their first-round pick. And going up against the AFC East and the rest of the AFC West is just going to be a really tall order. Looking at the schedule, I honestly don't see many winnable games. Maybe you get the Packers if Jordan Love doesn't develop. Maybe the Patriots, Colts, and Bears. Being charitable with a split with the Chargers and Broncos, I only have 6 wins max. So I'm taking the under with the Raiders. And finally, with the Los Angeles Chargers, the line is at 9.5 with the over at negative 128. They did bring in Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator and did promote their defensive backs coach, Derek Ansley, to defensive coordinator. They brought in Eric Kendricks on defense, so hopefully he'll help to shore up the run game that ranked 27th in rush yards per attempt last year. But the big question mark is, what can Kellen Moore improve? And can he improve this offense enough to compete against their AFC West counterparts? They were 12th in points scored per game last year, but 23rd in points allowed per game. They just could never get quite ahead of that threshold, and it's going to be interesting to see. I have them at 10 wins, so just right over the line, but some of these could go either way. The AFC East gauntlet is brutal, as are the 2 matchups against the Chiefs, so I'm not super excited about either or about betting on them as well. So If you guys have any final questions, put them in the chat. We are reaching towards the end of the show. Appreciate everybody watching. I'm interested to know your thoughts. Sellers under on the Raiders. Tanking for pick number 1 could absolutely be happening. Guys, on fantasyalarm.com, we've got a ton of stuff still coming out for the draft guide this week. We've got a couple other coaching system articles. The fantasy football cheat sheet is coming out this week. And we also have Andrew Cooper's tight end articles. You can get the draft guide at fantasyalarm.com/draft guide for $26.99, or you can go all pro. You can get every single sport, DFS content, the lineup generator, access to our private Discord channel, and our draft guide for free if you sign up for our all pro package. And if you missed it in the show earlier, today is the very last day for 50% off the first 6 monthly payments of the all pro package. Today is the last day. I cannot stress this urgently enough. Use promo code Howard when you sign up for the all pro package to get that 50% off, and it will take you all the way through the end of football season. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Coming up next on the Better Sports Network is the Fantasy Football Game Show from Front Yard Fantasy from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern. From 4 to 5 Eastern, we've got the Better Sports Betting with Dan Servadidio and John Mpemba. And then from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern, we've got the MLB DFS live stream with James Grande and John Mpemba. Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate having y'all in the chat. We'll be back same day, same time, Monday next week. I said same day, but Monday next week, the same time, we'll be discussing some player props, some AFC East win totals, and the most recent news. Will Dalvin Cook finally sign with the Jets? We'll have to wait and see. So we'll see you back on Monday. Thanks for getting blitzed with me, and have a great weekend.